Hello, I'm so glad you all hung in there. Um, it's just, YouTube has just been doing crazy things lately. So, anyway, here we are, and I'm glad that the second try worked. If anything does happen in the middle of um, this particular live broadcast, look near the top of the chat box and you'll see a link to Zoom. So if YouTube goes crazy, we'll just go more quickly to Zoom. Okay? Man, technology, huh? So, welcome to Interbeing Sangha on Wednesday, June the 10th. It's just amazing to me that it's already the middle of June, the middle of the year. It's crazy. But here we are. And I don't know if any of you have been going out very much. I haven't, obviously, because I couldn't get around. But now I have a boot on my foot, so I'm able to walk better and get around better. So I did spend a little time outdoors today, sitting in the swing. It was very nice. The weather was great. Kind of the breeze was actually a little bit cool, but I enjoyed it. It was nice to be outside and to be able to get out there on my own. So, see that Sarah and Carrie are here, and Tommy and James, Nick. Hi. Hello to everyone. Thank you for joining. Tonight we'll do our usual guided meditation, and I want to read to you from what's called the chanting book. It's called Chanting from the Heart, put out by the Thich Hanh Foundation. And this particular thing will be a very relatively short discourse called the Discourse on Love. And I think when you hear it, you will recognize that you've heard at least some of this before. So I was looking through email, and I noticed that this discourse was in an email from Terry, and it just reminded me how wonderful it is. So we'll do that. And the meditation that I want to share with you is a meditation on releasing anger. I would imagine if you've lived any amount of time at all, you've experienced anger at some time or another. I have often labeled my anger frustration or disappointment, but when it comes right down to it, it's anger. And it's not, my anger is not raging anger, but still it's toxic. As we know from looking at the teachings on our seeds, the seeds that are in our store consciousness. So this particular meditation will help us to maybe get in touch with that anger, and not only within ourselves as we see it manifesting in other people. There's certainly a lot of anger in our world today. Very often anger is just another face of fear. And so I thought this would be an appropriate meditation. And this particular meditation will follow the pattern in which you hear a sound. and then words, something to think about, to contemplate, and then to remind you to contemplate the two words or the two phrases that will go along with the teaching. So just a kind of a heads up about what you can expect this evening. After the reading, we'll zip over to Zoom, and I hope you'll all come over so that we can see you and talk in person. So let me go ahead and read the opening affirmation. The Sangha is invited to go back to our breathing so that our collective energy of mindfulness brings us together as an organism, going as a river with no more separation. Let the whole Sangha breathe as one body, generate peace as one body, be free as one body. Let us transcend the boundaries of a delusive self, liberating ourselves from the superiority complex, the inferiority complex, and the equality complex. We are aware that the happiness and suffering of all people is also our own happiness and suffering. We see ourselves in all people and all people in ourselves. We are one with those caught in situations of oppression. We are also one with the oppressors. We are one with the wise and good people who are present everywhere in the world. We are one with those who are able to embrace the whole of this world with their heart of love and their two arms of caring action. We are a people with enough peace, joy, and freedom to be able to offer fearlessness and the joy of life to living beings around us. We see that we are not alone. The love and the joy of great beings who are present in this world are supporting us, not allowing us to drown in despair, and showing us the way of understanding, compassion, and right action. So hi, Nico. Glad you could join in tonight. I'm happy to see you there. You know, every time I read this contemplation before sitting, it strikes me in a different way. And tonight I was really caught with the part that says, we are aware that the happiness and suffering of all people is also our own happiness and suffering. We see ourselves in all people and all people in ourselves. That's such an important, I think, such an important thing to contemplate. Because when we can actually live that way, we're embodying the teaching of interbeing. The next part is very similar. So that whole contemplation, I think, I love it. It's a terrific setup for sitting meditation or just for contemplating on its own. And since I've said it so many times, I've memorized at least half of it. And sometimes when I'm just sitting, attempting to meditate, that contemplation will come to me. And that in itself is a really nice meditation. So let's begin our guided meditation. Thich Nhat Hanh calls it looking deeply release. So I invite you to get in whatever comfortable position you would like to be in, sitting in a chair, on a cushion, in your bed. We want to be comfortable, but not so comfortable that you fall asleep. Unless you're sleep deprived and you need a nap. That might be fine too. So just taking a breath or two, coming home to the breath. And just for now, let your tension, your worries, your stressors just kind of drop away. And let your breath, especially your exhale, assist you in letting those things drop away. And feel your body relaxing as well. Contemplating a person in anger, I breathe in. Seeing the suffering of that person, I breathe out. Angry person, suffering. Angry person, suffering. Contemplating the damage from anger to self and others, I breathe in. Seeing that anger burns and destroys happiness, I breathe out. Anger harms self and others, destroys happiness. Anger harms self and others, destroys happiness. Seeing anger's roots in my body, I breathe in. Seeing anger's roots in my consciousness, I breathe out. Angry roots in body, angry roots in consciousness. Angry roots in body, angry roots in consciousness. Seeing the roots of anger in pride and ignorance, I breathe in. Smiling to my pride and ignorance, I breathe out. Anger's roots in pride and ignorance, smiling. Anger's roots in pride and ignorance, smiling. Seeing the angry person suffer, I breathe in. Feeling compassion for the angry person who suffers, I breathe out. Angry person, feeling compassion. Angry person, feeling compassion. Seeing the unfavorable environment and unhappiness of the angry person, I breathe in. Understanding the causes of this unhappiness, I breathe out. Angry person, unhappy. Understanding unhappiness. Angry person, unhappy. Understanding unhappiness. Seeing myself burned by the fire of anger, I breathe in. Feeling compassion for myself burning with anger, I breathe out. Burned by anger, compassion for myself. Burned by anger, compassion for myself. Knowing my anger makes me look ugly, I breathe in. Seeing myself as the chief cause of my ugliness, I breathe out. Anger makes me ugly. I cause my ugliness. Anger makes me ugly. I cause my ugliness. Seeing when angry, I am a burning house, I breathe in. Taking care of my anger and going back to myself, I breathe out. I am a burning house, taking care of myself. Burning house, taking care of myself. Contemplating helping the angry person, I breathe in. Seeing myself able to help the angry person, I breathe out. Helping angry person, capable of helping. Helping angry person, capable of helping. Well, thank you, dear friends. Hope you enjoyed that meditation. When I was reading this meditation, trying to decide which one to do, I really considered leaving out this part, knowing my anger makes me look ugly, seeing myself as the chief cause of my ugliness. And I'm not sure why I wanted to leave that out, but in the part of the book after the meditation, Thich always writes some commentary, and one of the paragraphs begins, Buddha says that anger makes us look ugly. If we are able to breathe in when we are angry and recognize the ugliness anger brings with it, that recognition acts as a bell of mindfulness. So, and then when I actually did it in the meditation, I understood. Because I could see the angry faces of people in demonstrations, and contrast that with the peacefulness of people sitting quietly, walking quietly. Their message is still very powerful. In fact, for me, it's more powerful than the shouting. So, I will read the Discourse on Love, but I also want to share with you some part of this book. It's called Another Thich Nhat Hanh book. It was published in 2005, so it's 15 years old, but I said Sunday, maybe some of you have heard me say this, but I think it could have been written this morning. It's just totally relevant to what's happening with us now. And the book is called Calming the Fearful Mind, a Zen Response to Terrorism. I'll just read a little bit for you. Just a couple of sentences here. He says, we have looked for strength and security in military might. We have attempted to defend ourselves with weapons of war. We have brought great suffering and destruction upon ourselves and others. Our way of dealing with terrorism is taking us down a dangerous path of distrust and fear. It is time to stop. Let us pause. It is time to seek true strength and true security. We cannot escape our interdependence with other people, with other nations in the world. Let us take this moment to look deeply and find a path of liberation. In this same chapter, there is a section called America's Suffering. I'm just going to read a little bit. It's just to give you a sense of his suggestions about what he saw happening and what he says about it. So he says, there's too much suffering already in this country. We busy ourselves doing as many things as possible, taking refuge in doing more and more, faster and faster. The more we do, the greater the suffering becomes. People suffer to such an extent that they can't bear to experience more suffering. We aren't sleeping well at night, and we're not enjoying ourselves during the day. We can't focus on the suffering in other countries when we suffer so much ourselves. Touching more suffering only overwhelms and paralyzes us. So some people, I think, really are suffering as much as he says. And some of us maybe not so much. But because others suffer, we suffer. So he says, if we stop our constraint, activity, and consumption, we can recognize that there is suffering inside us, born from ignorance, anger, and fear. We can practice breathing, walking, and slowing down in order to get relief. We can come home to ourselves as a country, recognizing and embracing our suffering. It's a really, really interesting book, and I've enjoyed the bit that I've read. And of course, Thich Nhat Hanh has some direct experience with dealing with the same kinds of things that he's talking about there. And if he could talk to us today, I think he would be telling us to come back to ourselves, to breathe, to do everything mindfully. Which leads me to what the Buddha said in this discourse on love. He or she who wants to attain peace should practice being upright, humble, and capable of using loving speech. He or she will know how to love. Sorry, I need a little more light. He or she will know how to live simply and happily, with senses calmed, without being covetous and carried away by the emotions of the majority. Let him or her not do anything that will be disapproved of by the wise ones. And this is what he or she contemplates. May everyone be happy and safe, and may all lives be filled with joy. May all beings live in security and in peace. Beings who are frail or strong, tall or short, big or small, invisible or visible, near or far away, already born or yet to be born. May all of them dwell in perfect tranquility. Let no one do harm to anyone. Let no one put the life of anyone in danger. Let no one out of anger or ill will wish anyone any harm. Just as a mother loves and protects her only child at the risk of her own life, cultivate boundless love to offer to all living beings in the entire cosmos. Let our boundless love pervade the whole universe, above, below, and across. Our love will know no obstacles. Our heart will be absolutely free from hatred and enmity. Whether standing or walking, sitting or lying, as long as we are awake, we should maintain this mindfulness of love in our own heart. This is the noblest way of living. Free from wrong views, greed, and sensual desires, living in beauty and realizing perfect understanding, those who practice boundless love will certainly transcend birth and death. This is called the Metta Sutra in the Sutra Nipata. Really, what more is there to say? I don't know. I am interested to know what you have to say. I hope you'll all join us over on Zoom because James has something very interesting and important to share with us. I have an interesting possible event that I think you might be interested in. So, yeah, I guess I'm just doing that as a teaser to get you to come over to Zoom. But that's a better place to talk about these things, because then we'll all be there and can share with one another. So Nico, the Zoom link is kind of in the top, up near the top of the chat box. And I can put it down here again, just to be sure that we all get it. So there you go. All right, I'm going to finish up with the closing chant and sharing the merit, and then we'll move on over to Zoom. So let's invite the bell. Countless beings we vow to free, ceaseless afflictions we vow to end, limitless dharma doors we vow to open, the deepest paths of awakening we vow to realize. Practicing the way of awareness and mindfulness gives rise to benefits without limit. We vow to share the fruits with all beings. We vow to offer tribute to parents, teachers, friends, and numerous beings who give guidance and support along the path. So thank you, everyone. I'm going to close this stream and open the next one. It might take me a minute or two to get over there, but be patient. I will be there. All right. Bye-bye.